out my canines. No love in my heart, that's where the pain lies. Nowadays I can't tell who's on the same side. Nowadays you can't tell who will really ride. Probably end up looking back at this in hindsight. Smoking weed, counting money as I write rhymes. Some shit you go through when you trying to get your mind right. I'm just trying to get my mind right. I'm just trying to get my mind right.
Hey, a little sneak preview of some shit. Check Your Ego podcast, checking in. What's good, y'all? Nesso in the building.
Another Sunday down, X in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Another Sunday back to it. You know what I mean? Today's All-Star weekend. Not even a weekend, All-Star day. You know what I mean? Big news just dropped. Blake Griffin, signed to the Brooklyn Nets major. These guys are doing the most just to take down LeBron, That's dominance for you. That's dominance for you.
He's trying to take a W this year. Can't be mad at him for that. Doing good business.
Yeah, man. Just a lot of stuff that just gonna get off your chest right now. I'm gonna throw this out to you right now. Through Monday, through Sunday, where have you felt like you needed to check yourself this week? Where have you felt like I actually need to check myself this week? I actually had to sit down and think about some of the things I did this week.
A lot of the information that I've been coming across just in terms of like value and improving myself has really forced me, in particularly this week, to really actually sit down and like just analyze where I am in life and what I need to do to go to the next level. And one thing that we talk about but we don't really dive into too much is just the mindset. Everything starts in the mind, right? So if you're just able to control what's in your mind and like redistribute it back, I think like that's one of the most powerful things. But yeah, I definitely had to just take a couple steps back, look at I'm not really where I want to be right now, but just take into account that it's all a process and you can't really rush things, and that when that ego kicks in, that's when you really do want to start trying to rush things. But you gotta take your time and really let nature take its course and stay the route.
Even listen to that right now, I feel like a lot of people understand that, you can't really rush it, but how much do you actually like accept that? How much do you understand like in your heart that you really can't rush this process? You know what I mean? It's not like chapter 1 then chapter 10, you know what I mean? That's there's actual pages to that book, you know what I mean? So
and that goes right back to mindset. You got to gear your mindset to think like that. Yeah.
It kind of goes back to the reason why we're sitting down talking about these things, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about it so you understand there's layers to it, you know what I mean? Not we're just throwing it out there, we're taking steps through it and trying to, see how we get from point A to point B, point A to, wherever we're going. We're trying to show you the steps that are needed or the steps that are taken through that process. Some of the things for me, myself is, a lot of us, again, I think I mentioned this before, or maybe I haven't, but a lot of us are in this mode here. Let's just get the money. Let's just go chase it. You know what I mean? But you got to ultimately understand that if you're going to sacrifice and jeopardize and do things that are questioning your character just for the money, then, you know what I mean? Maybe you take a step back and you understand that this is just money. If you're going to be an asshole, if you're going to be like just a person that has, no regards for human life, then you got to understand that this money that you're chasing is man-made. You know what I mean? You're chasing a man-made figure or option, and ultimately, if they just put that man-made option, that little carrot in front of you, you're gonna ultimately move for it. So you got to understand that money is just one thing. Another thing that I had to check my ego on this week was just allowing my mind to steer in ways where it shouldn't. Something happens and automatically it's like, oh, I've been here before. I already know what this person's gonna do next, and now I'm holding that image of what they're gonna do next over their head, and now I treat them differently. So I really had to check myself and be like, yeah, just because I've dealt with some individuals in the past and they made some decisions and this is how it played out, it doesn't mean the people that I'm interacting with now are gonna have the same outcome as the person I did with the past. So I really had to check myself and be like, yo, why am I seeing this person doing this? You know what I mean? Not everyone's the same. I like to give people a chance, you know what I'm saying? Let them kind of roll it out. But I really had to take a step back and be like, yo, not everyone's the same, man. You know what I mean? Just because person A did this type of thing, it doesn't mean that person B is gonna do the same thing. But that's one place where I had to, definitely check myself and be like, yo, I can't think like that. I can't think that these people are all the same. Everyone's gonna do the exact same things. You know what I mean?
That's a hard concept to grasp too, especially if you've been through a certain situation with somebody, like you said, and you come right back to that point again where you're about to enter that situation again. It's like, I already know how this is gonna play out. So how do you fight that? You know what I mean? How do you really fight that? You just gotta hope that that person has grown from the last time you guys were approaching that situation, or ultimately were in that situation with. You know what I mean?
For real. For real.
But yeah, we hope everybody out there, once in a while, you guys check your ego too, men and women. It's necessary, right? It's necessary for growth, and it's just necessary to take yourself to the next level in life. You got to be accountable for your shit. So check your ego. That's why we here with it.
Now, when I talk about money now, right? And because money definitely plays a factor in your relationship. Obviously, if you're strapped for cash all the time, it adds a lot of pressure to your plate. Obviously, you can't afford a home to live in. You can't afford to eat food. Put clothes on your back. Sometimes you want to get out and get fresh. If you can't get fresh, obviously, that's gonna put you in a certain place. But let's talk about money, man, and how money actually impacts your relationship. You know what I mean? Because someone asked me, it's like, yo, you guys really talk about money and stuff like that. So now I'm just like, yeah, money's probably a topic that should be discussed. You know what I mean? How to, align your budget. And how to make sure your spending habits are in check. Have you ever had a situation where you had to be like, yo, listen, we got to move a little bit differently, or maybe your finances, your personal finances alone, but like, yo, my oh man, I watching this thing on the weekend, and this guy's like, yo, he was dating a girl, and they went to a normal place to go eat food. Then the following week, she messaged him back and says, yo, I want to go here to eat food. And he had to respond back to the girl and be like, listen, in his head, he's like, I can either lie to you and be like, yo, I'm busy that weekend, because he didn't really want to spend all that money at that restaurant, or he could just be like honest with her and tell her that, listen, my budget doesn't align with this outing this Friday. You know what I mean? Maybe if you catch me in 2 weeks, we can kind of go out. Later on in life, that girl didn't end up responding to him, because he did give the honest answer. He did give the honest answer where I can't, my budget doesn't allow me to. She didn't message him back. Later on in life, that guy did come up. He secured the bag. He was on TV for whatever reason. He was on TV, and it showed that he had finances in order. That girl decided to message him back now and be like, hey, I seen you on TV. I seen you doing big things. What if we catch up, sort of thing? You know what I mean? We can go eat at a normal restaurant. And I'm just like, damn, bro. Just the way he kind of laid out the story, it's obviously, you guys know what I'm saying. You know what I mean? But let's talk about money now. Let's talk about money in your life right now. How do you manage it? How do you control it? How do you make sure your money doesn't get ahead of your thoughts?
Just like right now in my life, it's about financial education, financial literacy. I'm always trying to put new information in my head that deters me from falling into old habits. Because I know, especially within our culture, money is depicted in such a way that is like braggadocious, and
your money has to show. You have to show your money on the outside.
You got to show that you have it, and if you don't, you really have no worth, right? So us coming from that culture and not really understanding how to break that culture, it requires a much higher level of dedication to changing that. You know what I mean? So at this stage of my life, that's definitely what I go for, and I try to align myself with people that think like that as well. Now, in a relationship, exactly what you talked about. I think as a man, we've all been there, where either we feel like we should be taking a girl out to a specific place that is out of our budget, or she feels like we should be doing that. And that's always a difficult conversation to have. But if Shorty's really real with you and she's in it for the long haul, she'll understand, especially if you lay out a plan like, listen, I can't do that right now. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. So that money would be better allocated in over here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that I've definitely had to check myself in that situation. I've definitely had to check women as well in that situation.
That's it may sound like the obvious answer, but when you sit down, you really gotta be like, yo, here, my finances are, I have a car, you know what I mean? I have to pay for gas, I have to pay for insurance, you know what I mean? I still gotta live and eat, you know what I mean?
Can't do that $200-$300 dinner tonight, shorty. We can't do that.
Yo, it's, you gotta understand, right? Like, yeah, if you met homie in the past and he did all these things for you, right? You gotta understand that you're in a new situation. And maybe not everyone wants to spend money in that way. You know what I mean? What if I'm investing, right? What if you know that I got the bag, right? But I just don't spend it. But most of my money's spent because I'm investing in other places. I'm using the funds, my extra cash, somewhere else. Right. You know what I mean? To kind of benefit my future. I don't know if it's a hot topic for women. If he doesn't spend a lot of money on me and he's so cheap. You know what I mean? I really don't hear a lot of people complaining about it, but I know that it does cross some people's mind. When you sit down with your people, you can kind of just figure out where their head's at in terms of, finances. Because if you got someone that's, like you said, financial literate, like, that can understand how money works and turns and, how to flip and how it doubles, you better try to align yourself with him, with his type of mindset, because that's gonna take you places, and vice versa. If your girl doesn't want to spend no money on you, just understand what she's doing with it. If she's just going on the weekends and she's just going out with her girls and getting her nails done every weekend and getting her feet done, then yeah, she may be blowing it, and she never wants to spend it on you when you guys go out. But if you feel like she's not spending the money on you, just try to understand, like, hey, like, I see that you're not really into spending extra cash, like, what kind of things are you into? You know what I mean? It's not getting in her business. You're just trying to understand and learn, so that way, you know what I mean? No, there's nothing wrong with asking. There's nothing wrong with asking. But I asked you a question, how you manage your money and stuff like that. I'm just gonna answer the question. Because I understand now that I work from home. A lot of my money was on gas, transporting from work and home, and I understood how much that cost me. And now I've taken that money and I've put it elsewhere. So I'm still living the same lifestyle. You know what I mean? I've just taken the budget that I have for, gas and transportation, and I put it elsewhere to hopefully I see a return later on. And I say hopefully, and really, I'm really hoping I see a return elsewhere. You know what I mean? So again, I'm still living in the same house. So it's not like I just held on to that money and now I have extra money to go spend, do this and do that. Like, I still like to go out. I told myself I'm only going to eat out twice a week. One, because I'm worried about my health. You know what I mean? I'm not the same young cat that I was years ago. I don't just put anything in my body like McDonald's. I'm sorry for, the people, who support McDonald's, but I just don't feel like that food benefits me whatsoever. You know what I mean? So I still eat out twice a week. You know what I mean? I still like my Chinese food. I still like to eat, like, my restaurants. No problem. But I'm only going to spend twice a week eating out. You know what I mean? I'd rather just go home and eat some real food. You know what I mean? I'd rather eat some real good food.
Nah, food's definitely a big one. I would say across the board for everybody. When you get that in check, there's so many apps now too where it's like you can plug in like your budget, basically how much you allocate to this and this and this and this. And I think the majority of people would agree that a lot of their money's getting eaten up with this whole fast food thing, especially right now with, like, Uber Eats and skip the dishes and stuff like that. And that'll drain your money real quick.
You gotta think about Uber Eats. Now that you brought it up, you gotta think about Uber Eats, bro. Your meal already is gonna cost you what, $15? That delivery fee's another $4, $20 meal. That, you know what I mean? You're already paying overpriced.
Kill you.
Yeah, you're already paying overpriced for your meal anyway.
Facts.
And then they're throwing another $5 fee on it. Like, I'm not trying to penny pinch or sound broke, but it's like you gotta look at, like, yo, I just spent $20 on a burger and fries.
I mean, you gotta look at it like that though. You gotta act broke when you're trying to really get your shit together. You gotta act broke. You gotta live with that mentality. That
live under your means.
Under your means, yeah, below your means. Like, this money can't just go to this. You really got to do that.
Let's do an exercise, man. I challenge everybody to do an exercise. One, check your bank statements. Check your bank statements at the end of 30 days and see if you like what you see. Cause I guarantee you'll probably be like, holy, I can't believe I spent, like, just in a couple of swipes I spent like $200-$300. You know what I mean? Check your finances. And set a limit on certain things. Set a limit on what you spend. If you're a drinker, if you're normally going out and get drinks often, just, maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks or whatever the case may be. You know, and find another option. You can't always go to the bar and spend cash. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a couple of times now where you're just kind of holding back. But just do an exercise with me. I promise you, just try it and see how your body feels. You know what I mean? See how you're feeling mentally. Check your bank statement after 30 days, but only go out a certain amount of times. See how many times you go out per week, and then just try to minus that. Try to minus that a little bit. You know, if you go out normally 5 times a week, try to scale back to 3 times a week and see how that feels. And try to do it consistently. And when you hit that consistently where you're not like itching, you know, you're like, holy, this is bothering me. I need to go out and get food. Scale back another one. You know, maybe you went from 3 times, now you're down to 2. You know what I mean? That's what I do. These are simply just mind things that I do just to kind of build my self-discipline, you know what I mean? And until at a certain point where I'm like, yo, I have my finances in check, you know what I mean? One thing that was powerful to me was like, you know, everyone's like, yo, give me $100,000. I know exactly what to do with it. But you give someone $100 and they don't even know how to manage $100. And I'm just like, holy, that hit home, because it's like, yo, when you have $100, what do you do with it? What do you do with it? You just sit it and put it in your bank? Because that we all know what the banks do to your money. You know what I mean? So again, if you're asking someone to give you $100,000 or $1,000, you can't even manage $100. You're gonna do the exact same thing what you did with the $100,000 or $1,000.
That's a fact. It's a big fact.
So this is how the brain works. This is how the brain works up top. You have anything else you want to add on money and intake?
Now's the time to really lock in and figure out new ways to get money, to be honest. Like, men, women, there's a million different opportunities. This whole coronavirus thing has really invoked that, and going forward there's going to be a whole lot of new industries created. So, you know, that whole business model that we had, where it was just like, I shouldn't say business model, I should say like society's model of, you know, going to school and coming out, getting a degree and getting a job. That's not gonna cut it no more. So, you know, just keep your eyes open, understand your talents, your skills, sharpen those up, and you know, apply them. It's a whole new world out here, and it's only gonna continue to become newer and newer. So,
yeah, with that being said, you know, always try new things, you know what I mean? And what I mean by that is, like, you know, when something comes out, you're like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Because you weren't really in a mindset where you wanted to try new things. Or maybe you wanted to try new things and you told the wrong person, and that person just killed your whole confidence. You know what I mean? If you want to do something, just do it under the radar. You know what I mean? If you really want to be that guy, do it under a different name or alias or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Let your friend run it. You know, to give all your ideas to your friend and let him push it, and just keep that going. Just you and that one person, that small circle. You don't have to tell people what you're doing, but just continue to learn and grow. You know what I mean? We're at a point in time where it's like, yo, listen, we've been home, we've been inside, you know, what is it, 12 months? We've been inside 12 months.
Oh, damn, over a year? It's not a year yet, just about.
Just about March, when we got the lockdown here?
Yeah, I think in like a week or two.
Bro.
For a year already. That's crazy.
Let's try something new, man. Let's get it out there, because as things change, new industries are gonna open up. Like you said, new industries are gonna open up. That's another avenue for you to cash in. You know what I mean? That's an invitation saying, like, yo, things are changing. Let's just see how things are changing. Let's go roll out affiliate marketing. You know what I mean? That whole trading world. You know what I mean? Real estate. You can virtually be a real estate agent. You know what I mean? A real estate investor, if you want to call it. You don't have to go to the property and see it. You could just do it from your computer. You know what I mean?
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, man. Beautiful thing. We got a lot of negative out of it, obviously. You know, nobody wants to hear of death and those things and those type of things and ailments and sicknesses. But there's always going to be a yin to the yang. So, you know, just focus up, everybody out there. Stay safe. Do your thing. Yeah, man.
Got another one. So it's like, we got to talk about, you know,
Let's get to the ish, dog. Let's get to the shit. Let's get to it. Let's go. What is it?
We just warming up. Let me just throw 2 more out here. We gotta get to the single versus together, the relationship, right? We gotta get to the pros and cons, the really nitty gritty of being on each end of the spectrum, you know? Because some people are like, yo, every time my older parents see me, yo, how's your girlfriend? Where's it? Yo,
yeah.
You know, we all get those questions. You know what I mean? So let's talk about the benefits, the pros and cons of being single.
Yeah. Okay, right off the bat, a disclaimer, like, I'm just gonna give my opinion. I can't say I speak for all men, but for me, the single aspect, when you're trying to focus on a goal, or you have a vision, just pertaining to me in my life, I feel like being single, you're able to progress a lot quicker. You have more time to focus on you and what you need to accomplish, as opposed to having to focus on you, what you need to accomplish, and also what your partner wants and what your partner needs. You kind of eliminate that distraction. I'm not saying having a girl is a distraction, but I guess I kind of am saying that at the same time. But yeah, if you're a singular thinker and you have something you want to accomplish and you know what you need to do, being single, I would say, is very beneficial. Now, if you're trying to build something with somebody, obviously you would want to do it in a relationship. The tricky part about that is you got to find a person that is like-minded, that thinks along the same tracks as you, that wants to accomplish whether it be the same thing or similar goals to you. You got to find that, and that is the tricky part with a relationship, trying to find someone whose goals mesh with yours. You know what I'm saying? What exactly was the question?
We're talking about two ends of the spectrum.
I think different. Like I just go off on different waves, man. But yeah,
we talking about being single versus a relationship. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go just to start on the other end now. I'm gonna talk about the relationship. When I see a lot of my friends at a young age start having families and stuff like that, and they're still with their partner, I'm like, holy, that's a beautiful feeling. You know what I mean? That's a piece of me. That's a piece of me that I don't really have right now. So I'm kind of vicariously living through them through social media, you know what I mean? When I see them all going for just doing family events and taking their kids to the pumpkin, you know what I mean? Because I know what that felt like when I was a kid. Now I know what that was when I get to go to the pumpkin thing, pumpkin yard, or going for Halloween and just going trick or treating and having a kid, you know what I mean? I just looking at those family aspect things, you know what I mean? I have a lot of time just to sit down and just think about weird stuff nowadays.
So yo, I don't mean to cut you out, but it seems like you're implementing the family into the relationship. So you're talking about like a relationship that has progressed far enough to.
I guess I'm using that as the
Yeah. Okay. So that's the benchmark. You're kind of using that as.
That's a definite benefit of being in a relationship, that you get to have a family eventually.
You could do that without a relationship.
Situations get rocky, as we talked about before on previous conversations.
That's a fact.
You know
that's
what
a
I mean?
fact. That's a fact.
But yeah, even in a relationship, man, I think having a girl beside you, you know what I mean, support you in your corner is a hell of a thing, you know what I mean? Because ultimately I feel like she'll keep you in check, you know what I mean? Sometimes when you start to steer off and you're like, yo, I wanna go do this and do this, she'll ultimately like, hey, weren't you doing this a while ago? What happened to that? You know what I mean? She'll start to keep you on your toes. Sometimes
right
give
girl.
you the right girl.
The right girl will do that for you for sure.
And just kind of keep you in line and in your goals and stuff like that. So I think that idea, and that's what I'm throwing out in the air of a relationship, that type of stuff is it means something to me. It means something to me.
Definitely does. Definitely does. For the most part, I think like just a man in general's process is a little bit different. Like we've talked about it ample times. Like we want to be the pillars. We want to be the ones to lay down the structure. We want to do that before we enter those type of situations. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Now I got like, what's it called? Man, it just keeps dawning on me where it's like, a man's supposed to be this guy. A man's supposed to be this guy. He's supposed to do this. He's supposed to take care of that. Woman's supposed to take care of this. What if your woman was like your breadwinner? What if the roles were changed, where it's like, some of that things that you thought was supposed to be rely on your back, was supposed to rely on or fall on your shoulders, it's now she's taking care of most of that kind of stuff. Where she has the family, she's taking care of most of the bills because just her profession allows her to have a larger income where she's able to take care of those kind of things, where now it's like, the stuff that you thought you'd be taking care of, it's already been done on the other side. She's the breadwinner. She's taking care of those main things. Are you comfortable, A, in a situation like that? 2, how would you respond to something like that? And what was your feeling like? What's your mind's like? Do you feel like you're less of a man?
To be honest, no. Like I don't think I would be too comfortable with that. I just couldn't envision a situation where it would need to come to that, because I feel like I have the skills to provide. You know what I'm saying? So why would that situation ever occur? Like, not to say that a woman couldn't do that and she wouldn't thrive in that position, but with me, nah, I wouldn't want that. Especially like me wanting more kids as well too. If I ever did enter that type of situation, nah, I couldn't put that pressure on you to do that. What type of man would you be? You feel me?
So with that being
said, that might be
right?
an ego thing too.
Yeah,
you know
no, for sure. And I think most males would probably fall in line with what you just said.
Yeah.
Right? Let's look at the Kyrie and Lebron, situation, right? When Kyrie came to the league, Kyrie was a problem. You know what I mean? He only played a couple of games at college, but Kyrie was the man. You know what I mean? Coming to a team with LeBron, he has to take that baby brother role. You know what I mean? At that same point, he gets to grow and learn all of the first couple of years to kind of grow and develop his own skills. And then eventually he can branch off to do what he needs to do. Not to say that in your relationship that you're going to branch off and move on to the next one. But what I'm saying to you is when your lady is creating that kind of capital, it takes a lot of pressure off you to be like, oh man, I need to get this done. I need to get this done. And now you can start to grow in line with her, because maybe she brings you to different circles. Maybe she gets you into certain way of thinking, whereas now it's like, I'm going to elevate my game. Maybe she just motivates you now. You know what I mean? So if a situation like that came up, I would have to check my ego right out the gate. If this girl's beautiful, she has her finances in check, she has a lot, her income's pretty good, she takes care of herself. You know what I mean? Am I gonna feel like a bitch? Part of my language. I feel like, oh man, you know what? But ultimately, I'm gonna use that as fuel. I'm gonna use that as fuel to get my whole life in order. There's no way I'm gonna just sit at home and just rely on my shorty to, take care of everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I kind of agree with you in that sense. Whereas like, yeah, as a man, yeah, that takes a little bit off. But ultimately, I'm gonna change my mindset. Whereas like, I'm just not gonna feel like just a bitch. I'm gonna feel like, yeah, there's a lot of time for me now where I can actually get, focus on a lot of things I need to do without the pressure of taking care of bills, without the pressure of just the bill's due on the 1st of the month. Today's like the 25th, and I don't even have the cake. You know what I mean? That pressure's gone from my head. It gives me a lot of time where I can just kind of work on what I need to work on without that pressure, and that pressure goes a long way. But again, still using her situation as motivation for you to kind of grow. But again, that's an issue where you have to check your ego. You know what I mean? You really had to dig down, because that's myself included. I've thought about this question several times, and I felt like, how would I feel in a situation like that? You know what I mean? It's hard to digest and take in, but you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to. Am I gonna break up with shorty? No, I love that girl. If she has the cake, yeah, you know what? Maybe it's her time to shine. Look at Tiny and T.I. At a young age, Tiny was the music person. You know what I mean? She had the bread. You know what I mean? T.I. was just doing his thing in the background, but now the tables are turned. T.I. is that guy. T.I. had a long run where T.I. is known as as a moniker that he calls himself.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? It's a mental mindset thing, and we're on here just talking. It's just to help change some of the mindset and some of the ways that some of us think. You know what I mean? Myself included. It's an interesting topic because again, going through it is actually a different conversation now.
That's the thing too. Like, it's not just the fact that she makes more money. It's the position in the household now that you take and that she takes. You know what I'm saying? Like, dominance, attitude, all of those things. The way that she might view you over time, because as a relationship goes on, feelings towards each other's typically change, right? So that could change as well. You and her both knowing that she's the breadwinner, she's in control of the finances, in control of she has that position, that could affect your relationship severely later on down the line. You never know, man. Like, I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong. Just me particularly, I would prefer to be that guy. in the home, the breadwinner in the home, the person that is going to provide, that's going to lead, that's going to protect. I want my shorty to be strong, independent, knowledgeable as well. And if you're making your money, make your money. You know what I'm saying? But my point is just I'm not gonna rely on you to bring in funds. When I have two working hands, I got a working brain, and I can figure out how to get it as well. You know what I'm saying? If you're putting me on something, that's great. But ultimately, my goal would be to, you know, be able to provide for you and any kids that we have. So I'm just taking that type of stance when it comes to that. You know?
As a man, there's gonna be certain things that that your wife, if she's the breadwinner, she's in that situation, can't teach. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Or maybe that she can't envision because she is a female. So your position as a man of the household is still very evident and dominant in that household.
Is it? You think it will be?
Absolutely. If your woman respects you, she should respect you for the man that you are and not by the riches in your pocket. And listen to me clearly. As much as it may sound bullshit or may fly over your head, she's got to respect you for the man that you are. If you're a deadbeat, that's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think any of us are talking about being deadbeats, and I don't think any of us are. But if you're a deadbeat just hanging on the couch, then yeah, absolutely no respect given. But if you're still making your own cake, you still have a decent paying job, but she just, just because her life lined up where she's a 6-figure earner, I mean, you know what I mean? I can't frown her for that. And if she looks at me any different just because she's a 6-figure earner, then maybe personally that individual that you're with is not the right person. But
yeah, I've seen a post of a dude saying that as a man, if you move into a woman's house, it'll never be your home. And he didn't really go into too much depth, but I think we all know. Have you seen that?
I think I've seen stuff like that.
I've kind of thought about that, and I'm like, you know what? There might be some truth to that. You know what I'm saying? There might actually be some truth to that. I'm not sure, but I think when that role occurs, it's just a completely different environment than if, the man is bringing home the majority of the money and the woman is not bringing home as much as the man. I think there's a different respect level. You feel what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
I think there's a completely different respect level, because at that point, the woman is supposed to be the more desirable one in a relationship to begin with, right? So if she is that and she has money, what use do you really have? You feel what I'm saying? And you're not really gonna find too many women out here that are just gonna be like, I love you for you. Let's be real. Let's keep it a buck. Like, as men, we have to provide something for a woman. We have to provide something, whether it be financial, whether it have to be like emotional support or kids. We have to provide something. They're not just gonna love us for no reason. The majority, anyways.
It's unfortunate that has to be said so bluntly like that, but it's. I think for the mass majority of us, I think it's kind of true. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I seen another dude say like, men are still likely to date a woman who doesn't have her finances in check, but if a woman who has her riches is highly unlikely to date a broke man.
Or not even necessarily broke, just below her.
Different tax bracket, let's call it.
Yeah, and she making 200,000, you making 50. She's not even gonna. It's not gonna resonate with her.
And when I read it, I'm just like, yo, there's not a part of me that wants to combat at this post, because I'm just like, yo, this is, you saying it, I'm just like, I that's exactly how I feel. Like, I don't feel like that. Girls always want to be spoiled, and if she has 6 figures and she's buying all the high-priced items, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you're gonna go out and buy her like, maybe a polo T-shirt, but she's buying Gucci and Versace. It's like, yo, listen, I already have.
Been there with that.
Yeah, I've already
been there with that.
You know what I mean? She's already going to, what's that restaurant downtown? Anyway, she's going to all these fancy restaurants. Yeah, she's going to all Cactus Club. She's going to Cactus Club. She's going to all these different places.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is take her to Copacabana, $70, all you can eat. You know what I mean? So
it's different. The perspective is completely different when it comes to the financial aspect of it, you know. And personally, I would just say I would recommend, you know, as a man, get your shit straight, get your finances in order, and then attack that portion of your life.
for sure,
You know what I mean?
for sure. They always come afterwards anyway.
That's it. Yo.
They always come afterwards anyway.
That's how it goes.
But yeah, man, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting that we've taken, you know, 8 weeks, 9 weeks. This will be the 9th week.
This will be
The ninth episode, 9 weeks.
Nine.
It's interesting just to now sit down and actually discuss all these topics now. I promise you, I'm definitely going to kind of go back and just kind of pick up on different things that we discussed. Maybe we missed it. You know, maybe one of us were talking too long and you forgot what your question is, and, you know, maybe we'll roll it out another day. But, yes.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of these podcasts. You know what I mean? The more we do it, the more comfortable we're going to get, the more information is going to come out. It won't even necessarily have to be from a question. You know what I'm saying? When you just get into your mode and you start talking, and just start giving insight.
And it's insight from obviously an angle, and I think a lot of people's, you know, just sometimes when you're obviously taking in information, you fail to understand what angle or what point of view it's coming from.
Right.
So a lot of times, I've been saying this for the last like 3 weeks or so, just, you know, when someone gives an answer, right, you can't frown them for an answer unless they can justify where their answer came from. So a lot of times when I'm speaking to people, whether, you know, I had to bring it up. Yesterday we got in a debate about the vaccine and stuff like that, right? And we're just talking about it, and it seemed like a lot of us were, you know, kind of justifying why we were probably staying away from it for, you know, whatever reason, you know what I mean?
Right.
And the other side of the group there was kind of voicing their concerns, and all I was trying to do is understand her logic and understand why they would want to take the vaccine. And again, there's no right or wrong answer, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's no right or wrong answer. If you can give a justifiable, reasonable answer for why you think that way, I don't think anyone could be wrong. I think you just got to understand that not everyone's going to think the same way as you and call it a day, you know what I mean? And call it a conversation. But
That's
again, just to kind of recap to some of the things we mentioned, even through all the comments and or people have been just messaged me back about some of the things I said, I try to share context on why I think this way. You know, I try to share context on why I said it this way. And judge me by that. Judge me by that rather than just the headline or the, you know, the clickbait title topic. You know what I mean?
We don't do too many of those. We're gonna start doing this clickbait joints.
Throw it out there, man.
You know,
Get people to just, why'd you say that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that type of energy.
But it's all in the name of, like, you know, it's all in the name of education, really.
Right.
Communication. I think the one thing, just kind of recapping on everything now.
Yeah.
I think one of the major things that has been evident in all of our episodes was definitely communication.
100%.
What else would you think? What else do you think you could throw out there?
Perspective. You know, just understanding, like you just said, understanding your point of view, understanding somebody else's point of view, and just coming to a common ground. And knowing that you don't always have to be right, the other person doesn't always have to be right, but just understanding another person's perspective. That's one of the main things that we've talked about as well. We've had a good 8 weeks so far, man. This being the 9th, we're gonna do 10. We're gonna keep this going. We're gonna keep it going. You know what I mean? Just keep evolving.
This is the last one I want to talk about. I'm just going to flip the script onto the last topic that we're probably going to discuss right now, is leaving shit on your heart. You know what I mean? Holding grudges. You know what I mean? When you feel some type of way about somebody, a lot of us probably just let that thought create like a flame inside them. You know what I mean? And then everything you do now, it shows what you're thinking. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whether it's your vibe or your actual speech. You know what I mean? If you have some type of animosity, you feel like, you know, something's not understood on your part, maybe it's time to reach out and just kind of, you know, clarify things. You know what I mean? Because again, I say this to say, like, a lot of people just carry that animosity with them. They just carry it on their heart, and it leads to, you know, devastating things when all it could have took is one conversation. And obviously, if someone's irate, and I think we mentioned this before, if someone's irate, obviously that's probably not the point in time. But I think, you know, at one point in time, maybe just kind of clarify things. You know what I mean? Yo, a couple weeks back, you know what I mean? I understand that I maybe snapped on you, but it's just because in the heat of the moment and, you know, shit wasn't right. That's probably as much as I'm going to probably lay it out to you.
No,
but yeah,
I agree with that.
But yeah, I think it's good to just get it out there, man. You talked about therapy. Part of therapy is releasing those emotions. You know what I mean? Speaking to someone, and let that, you know, let that feelings be heard on someone else's ears. So, I don't know. You want to add to that?
No, I think we good for this week, man. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yes, sir.
You already know what it is. Like, comment, subscribe. We're gonna be back at you with another one next week. Much love.
That's it. We out, baby. We out.